It's Cassandra Mack at strategiesforempoweredliving.com. Thank you to each and every one of you who faithfully watch these videos, and especially to those of you who post them and share them on your wall. Please continue to share and post these videos because you never know who needs to hear this information and who you might be helping in the process. In the previous video, you heard me talk about the three-part teaching that I'm launching on Blog Talk Radio on February 8th, entitled Growing Up Your Inner Child. And I wanted to give you a little sample of some of the things that we'll be touching on and talking about in our three-part teaching by way of today's video. So, the title of today's video is Everybody Heals at Different Rates. If you've ever been in a situation where somebody betrayed you, disappointed you, where you went through some sort of trauma, a really, really mind-blowing experience that was so painful that it literally knocked the wind right out of your sails. It could have been that you were cheated on, and this was someone you gave your whole heart to and you really, really loved. It could have been that you were the victim of a rape, something terribly, terribly traumatic. It could have been that you were impacted by abuse growing up as a child. And when you're around other people who do not understand the depth of your pain, it's easy to get bewildered and start to think you're crazy when you bring up situations that have happened to you that you know other people know have happened, but people want you to just get over it. And while the goal, in order to live a happy, well-adjusted, joyful life where you have your peace of mind, you're living your dreams, and you have a sense of hope for the future, in order to really live a life that's full, you have to eventually get to a place where you heal your inner child, where you heal the wounds that are causing you pain and getting in the way of your best life. But the thing to keep in mind is everybody doesn't heal at the same rate, whether we're talking about a physical wound or an emotional wound. If you have ever had a cut, or if you've ever, broken an arm or sprained an ankle, and you compare your physical wound to someone else who has the exact same wound in the exact same place, even if they had the exact same wound and they got the wound in the exact same way you did. Let's say you both fell off your bikes and you both sprained your ankles in the exact location. Even though you're both hurting in the same exact place, what might happen is the other individual may heal in a matter of weeks, and it may take you months to heal. And there are some folks who never fully recover from a fracture or a sprain or a break, and will feel it in their body when it rains, because everybody doesn't heal at the same rate. The reality is, we don't all bounce back from betrayal, rejection, disappointment, and trauma at the same speed. Some people never ever fully recover, even though the goal, in order to have a healthy, happy, well-adjusted life, is to do the inner work of healing. Some of us take longer to heal than others. So there's a fallacy when people say just get over it. You can't always just get over something, but you can press through it. And I want to give you three things that you can do to begin to press past your pain. For anyone who's ever suffered a break and you were in physical therapy, one of the things that a physical therapist will do is they will force you to begin to try to walk, and quickly. They will force you, and not in a bad way, but just so that you can begin moving your body so that your body can begin the healing process. And the thing is, there's pain associated with healing. Think about when you were a child and you got a cut and your mom put alcohol on the cut to prevent an infection. It burned. You said, ouch. But you needed the alcohol in order to begin to heal the cut, and so that infection or an infection would not spread from the cut to the healthier parts of your body. And our lives work in the same way. So when we know that we're in an unhealthy place with regards to our relationships, with regards to trust, betrayal, rejection, disappointment, in order to make sure that that thing over there, that hurt over there, doesn't infect and impact every aspect of our lives, that we're not constantly bringing it into the workplace, we're not passing it down to our children, we're not bringing it into every friendship and relationship, we have to press our way through, just like you would do if you were in physical therapy. So you might not get over it, but you can press your way through it. So here are 3 things that you can do to begin to press your way through pain, to press your way through something that you need to heal from. The first is to rise above it. To rise above it. Now, this is the most difficult, so I'm going to give you the difficult first, and then I'll give you the other 2. So think about an eagle, right? When an eagle flies, an eagle does not concern itself with what vultures are doing. It does not concern itself with what any other animal is doing. It simply continues to fly at the highest speed that it could fly. Not only that, when an eagle is hungry, and it's looking at salmon swim upstream, an eagle will focus in on and zero in on the exact salmon that it wants to eat, even though there are lots of distractions around it. And it will swoop down and pick up and eat that salmon. Now, sometimes it bumps its beak. Sometimes it may miss the salmon that it really wanted. Sometimes, it may bump its toe. But even though it suffered a bump and a bruise, it continues to get back up and to fly. And sometimes we have to make the choice to live our lives at the level of the eagle. Even though we've got some bumps and bruises, even though we're carrying childhood wounds, even though we have some pain that still hasn't healed, we got to make up our mind that we're not going to let what happened to us in the past block our blessings in the future. That we're not going to let what happened to us at the age of 5, 10, 25 stop us from living our best lives from this moment on. And that's how you rise above. Rising above does not mean that you are not aware of your surroundings, right? Because the eagle is aware that vultures are in the area. It does not mean that you don't notice that there are rocks and all kind of stuff that have the potential to harm you. But what it means is, even though all of those things are in the atmosphere, that you're going to continue to keep rising, to keep soaring, to keep elevating, and to keep moving forward and press past the pain. So that's the first thing that you can do. The second thing that you can do is maneuver around. Sometimes we're in a space where it's really, really tough to live at the level of the eagle. We are just simply not ready. We are not ready. And you can talk about being ready. Other people can give you advice and tips and all kind of coaching tips around how to get ready. But if you are not ready to walk that walk, if you are not ready to begin to rise, then sometimes you got to just maneuver around. Think about when you're walking on a busy street and there's construction going on, and they have the yellow tape around the construction site and it says proceed with caution. And let's say that near that construction site there's a big manhole and you need to get to the other side, right? Because you got to go to work. So you are clear that there is a manhole there. You see it and you recognize it. And because you don't want to fall in the manhole, right? You walk around it, you maneuver around it. So you recognize it, you know it's not going anywhere. That manhole's going to be there for as long as that side of the street is under construction, like we're under construction, and that hole or that pain is still there. But because you got to get to work and you got to function fully while you're at work, you can't afford to allow yourself to fall into that manhole, because if you fall into the manhole, you won't get to work. So our lives work the same way. If you fall into that manhole, you can't be fully present to parent your children. If you fall into that manhole, you might miss your Mr. or Mrs. Right who's waiting for you with open arms to give you the love you never had. So you're aware that that manhole is there. You're aware of the dangers of falling in that manhole, and you decide to maneuver around it. Try that. And then the third and final thing that you can do when you are in a place where you're healing and you're just not healing at the rate that everybody believes that you should be healing at. And if you are just in a place where you feel like it's just too tough and too difficult and you're in the depths of your pain, then the third strategy is what I call the cross that bridge when you come to it. So think about when you're driving, right? And you are driving from point A to point B. But in order for you to get to point B, you've got to cross this particular bridge. And there's traffic on the bridge. There's potential for accidents to happen if you don't drive carefully and watch the other cars. There's the potential that you might be late for where you're trying to go. There's the potential for anything and everything to go wrong. But the only way to get to your destination is to cross that bridge. But the beauty of crossing the bridge when you come to it is you don't have to cross it every day. You only have to cross it when it is necessary to get from point A to point B. And sometimes we have to manage our lives like that. So there might be somebody that we have to deal with who brings out the worst in us. There might be someone that we have to deal with for whatever reason who creates drama. But we don't have to constantly be in their presence. We only have to cross that bridge when we come to it. We only have to deal with them when it is absolutely necessary. And I think that if we can remember that we have the power to do those three things, to rise above it, meaning to keep on moving towards your goals, your plans, your dreams, to keep elevating, to keep bettering yourself, to keep getting your mind right, even in the midst of the distractions, the pain, and the trauma. Even in the midst of vultures, you can live at the level of the eagle. But if you're in a place where you're not ready to do that, then know that you can maneuver around. And even though there's a lot of pain there and you're still under construction, you know that where you're going is so beautiful, is so grand and so great that you can't afford to fall into the manhole. So you recognize the manhole is there. But every day when you get up, it's day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Every day when you get up and you've got to walk to work, you've got to raise these kids, you've got a marriage that you want to keep intact, you want to live your best life, then you know the manhole's there, but you have the power to walk around it. You got the power to decide that you are not going to jump in the manhole. You are not going to break through the yellow tape when it clearly is warning you that you don't need to go there anymore, that that's a space that you don't need to be in. You've got the power to maneuver around that. And then last but not least, when you have to deal with someone who causes you pain or who brings out the worst in you, and there's not a whole lot of wiggle room, perhaps it's a boss, perhaps it's a parent who you live with, perhaps it's a spouse, and you're just in a situation where even though you're trying to get it back to the way you used to be, or maybe you're not, maybe you're going your separate ways and you're in court with one another, there's no way around having to deal with each other from time to time. When that happens, cross that bridge when you come to it. That means don't let it take up your conversation when you don't have to cross it. That means don't focus on it when you don't have to cross it. That means that if you are in Florida and that person represents the Brooklyn Bridge and you're living in Florida, there is absolutely no reason for you to cross the Brooklyn Bridge unless you're going to Brooklyn. If you don't have to go to Brooklyn, stay in Florida. Stay in that place where you feel supported. I hope you found this video helpful. Drop me a line and let me know what you got out of it. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch it and just for allowing me to spend a little time in your home, or if you're at work, for allowing me to spend a little time with you while you're at work. Always remember, you hold the pen that writes the chapters of your life. Make your story an amazing one. And for all my grab a girlfriend and go ladies, when you grab a girlfriend and go, you don't have to do it alone. Bye bye.